Okay, so today's gonna be slightly different. I'm gonna try and see if we can finish this up today. See about overextending and seeing what happens. Time-wise, anyway. We left off on the tea party with Angie and Leon tied to theater seats, and they were forced to watch this, in which the family figured out the puzzle, found the gold, and then started killing each other. Accidentally, originally, I guess. But, now it's, gotten all sorts of complicated. Kraus and Natsuhi are dead. And then Kiri just shot Rosa. Alright, so, let's see what we get to. Rudolph-san, the billion-yen card.
Oh.
Sure. The cash card with a billion yen, which Eva had just grabbed from the witch. That alone is worth more than enough. The 20 billion yen pile of gold had skewed everyone's sense of value. Just a few million yen is enough for people to kill over. And this was a billion yen. Rosa-san, those were some famous last words there. Just 300 million? You were too greedy. No kidding. Lucky me. I don't have to fish through her corpse. As Rudolph walked up to Eva's body, he found the card lying beside it and picked it up. So, this flimsy little card's worth a billion yen. Sticking with the company would be a waste of time. So, do we close up shop and spend the rest of our lives in some southern country? I'm sure you'd get bored right away. Besides, I like seeing you get all worried about some problem, then limp around like a little kid when you finally overcome it. Sure you do. Thank you, Miss Golden Witch. Rudolph-san and I will make good use of this billion. Kraus-san promised to treat you in a gentlemanly fashion, but I haven't made any such promise. She pulled the trigger without a trace of mercy. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Oh, are you here? Let's see if I can. My dad picked up something in town yesterday. An easel. I did not ask for it. I was not expecting it, but he went to town on a shopping trip in the city to pick up bulk supplies, and he came out with this. So I can work on it a bit easier now. Still getting used to it. Yeah, I'm working at it. I redid this area, and I like it a lot better. It's coming along. Slowly but surely. Gonna spend a bit more time on it this weekend, I think. See where we get to. And today is going to be, thank you. I'm gonna see about trying to finish up this chapter and the, confessions bit. Really see how long we can get before things break up or something. Get up. And I need to actually get back into the game. There we are. Yeah, cool. I'm kind of excited about that. see where we get to. She pulled the trigger without a trace of mercy. When the ringing of the gunfire died down, blood trickled from the witch's mouth, and she fell over onto the bed. Once again, Kiri ejected the used shell casing. The four metal sounds of used shells hitting the floor seemed to symbolize the fact that Rudolph and his wife now possessed all shares of the gold. All of them were really slow-witted. From the moment they heard about the bomb, they should have known that they would be leaving the sun as a big, happy family. Sorry about this, Aniki. Rosa. Well, that's life for you. Give me a break, okay? Aniki and Aniki get into a fight. Rosa gets dragged in, and I'm the one who picks up the pieces. Just like it's always been, right? It wasn't as though Rudolph and Kiri had planned to kill everyone and take everything for themselves from the start. Kiri had quickly realized, by the length of the barrel of the gun in her hands, that it would probably hold 5 rounds at a time. Yes, Kiri and Rudolph were both very familiar with this gun. Rudolph, whose interest in guns from old westerns came from his father, owned a shotgun of the same model. Even Kiri had earned the qualifications to use that gun, becoming familiar enough with it that they could go shooting together for fun. Including the witch, there had been 8 people there. 6 people besides the 2 of them. Each gun held 5 rounds. That was 1 short. They didn't have enough to kill everyone. To be honest, it really surprised me when they got into a fight and one of the guns went off. That coincidental accident had provided the missing bullet. It wasn't the second shot. The very first shot, which had accidentally killed Natsuhi, had guaranteed that this massacre would happen. In this smoke and corpse-filled room of gold, the 2 of them wore easygoing smiles, hardly any different from those they usually wore. What do we do now? Rudolph picked up Rose's gun. Then he fired a test shot at the wall and ejected the old shell with a smooth motion like Kiri's. Kiri went to the box of bullets on the table, casually picked up a few and loaded them one after another into her gun. Set the bomb switch to on. Then we just need to wait 24 hours. Everyone's gonna run wild when morning comes and they can't find us. We just need to make sure they don't. I guess so. What about Battler? He's your son, not mine. Don't say that. Look how attached he is to you. He really respects you. Then think of a clever way to trick him. Don't worry about Angie. You worry about Batman. Fair enough? Sure. I'm kind to my own children. But it's real pain to be nice to Asumu-san's kin. You understand, I hope. Kiri's voice had grown cold. She had acted warmly towards Battler because that had been the adult thing to do. He was Rudolph's son, so she tried to avoid being hostile. Nothing more. But underneath, he was the son of Asumu, a woman Kiri still hated even though she was dead. By a power of 10 times 4 plus 26. That much envy. Now that she had given birth to Angie and finally built up a new family, was Battler's return really such a happy thing for her? Get yourself ready. Now that we've come this far, we can only go for the billion yen or die trying. You can't convince Battler-kun. I'm sorry, but I won't be taking any chances. No need to threaten me. I'll take care of it. I'll find a good story to tell him. Make sure you do. I know Angie will be very sad if she's forced to hear about Battler dying in an accident. Sure. How do we start? We have nothing to gain by waiting for morning. Now is the best time. Oh, wonderful. Not even time for a break. Umineko no Kanaku Koro ni Chiru. Nocturne of Truth and Illusions. Who did she shoot?
Test?
A test? What's this supposed to be? At this time of night? Starting now? Battler yelled wildly into the receiver. When he said, "at this time of night," George and Jessica turned to look. According to the clock, it was past midnight. It might be normal time to be told to brush their teeth and go to bed, but he couldn't understand what this testing was all about. Okay, I'll hand it over. Here, George Enigi. It's my dad. Hello. This is George speaking. Hey, George-kun. Sorry to call so late. You weren't sleeping already, were you? You're all still up chatting away? Pretty much. Maria-chan is sleeping. Oh, wait. Looks like you just woke up. So, what do you want to talk about? Battler-kun said something about a test. Ah, yeah. Dad can be such a pain sometimes. He suddenly came down from his room. A bunch of stuff happened, and by the end, he was talking about which grandchild would make the best successor. But isn't Uncle Kraus the successor? He says the four of us aren't up to the job. So he's gonna skip us adults and choose one of you grandkids instead. It's all so sudden, we're really freaking out here. Aniki and the others are all arguing about it across the room. I'll bet you can hear Aniki shrieking in the background, huh? Is that so? If that's what Grandfather says, then there's no way around it, I guess. In that case, what should we do? He says he wants to call you out one by one, starting with Jessica-chan. Oh, wait a sec. Okay, still there? Looks like you and Jessica-chan will be the first up to bat. He wants Jessica-chan to go to the parlor in the mansion. You're supposed to go out in front of the chapel. It's so sudden, I hardly feel ready. What sort of test is it? Looks like Dad made some kind of crazy quiz. Some weird question about what it means to be the head. Of course, a few things about this seemed off to George. However, Kinzo was famous for doing radical things on a whim. Even this strange test seemed plausible once he heard that it was a sudden idea of Kinzo's. But even so, if he wanted to test them one by one, why wouldn't he call them out one by one? They could have just had everyone wait in some reception room to be called in one at a time. Why would two people be called to different places at the same time? The plan didn't seem to make sense, and George felt he was missing something. Still, I wonder why he wanted to meet you in front of the chapel, of all places. He expects a lot from you. I think he wants to talk to you alone. Not sure what about. Grandfather wants to talk to me? I wonder what he's got to say. I mean, you're the most talented of all his grandkids. He's probably got something to tell you in particular, right? Anyway, that's what he says. Get over there right away. I'm supposed to go to the chapel too. So let's get this over with. Oh, we're both gonna catch colds. I see. Okay. Then I'll head towards the front of the chapel. And Jessica-chan will go to the parlor. Sure. I'll see you in a bit then. What sort of test or private conversation could Kenzo possibly want to have at this time of night? Then again, it's a well-known fact that Kenzo doesn't have long to live. It wouldn't be so strange if he wanted to give some sort of will to each of his descendants individually. Inside George's mind, the faint feeling that something was wrong was replaced by a desire to meet Kenzo directly and hear about this in more detail. George set down the receiver and quickly explained to the others. It's as you heard. Grandfather says he wants to give us all some kind of test. Alright, if that's the case, we'll read a confession on another day. Maybe? We'll see what happens. No? A test? And after hiding in the study all these years, he suddenly decides to give us a test this late at night? Damn, that old geezer. What's he thinking? It seems our parents feel the same way. It sounds as though they're very worked up about it. Well, I doubt getting worked up about it will change grandfather's mind. Exactly. We might as well accept it. It's grandfather's order, after all. Let's obey it. To start, Jessica-chan and I are being called out. I'm going to the chapel. Jessica-chan is supposed to go to the parlor in the mansion. What about Maria and me? I think they'll contact you later. Wait here. Oh, a midnight test. What could it be? What kind of test is it? A quiz? A puzzle? I'm really good at wolves and sheep puzzles. Oh. Maria, who is now fully awake, seemed to be very excited about this unexpected midnight test. Then we'll just hang out here. Oh. Okay. I'm going. It sounds like they're already waiting for us. So, he's making one of his grandkids the successor. Sounds great to me. Now I can let one of you guys deal with it. I'm going to become the successor. I want to do it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Having Maria as the successor wouldn't be so bad. That would be interesting. Bye. See you later. Require everyone to learn magic and do the teacup trick, and then have candy with her. Whatever she wants. That would be an interesting one. Rudolph put down the receiver and stood up. Okay. Guess I'm going to the spot in front of the chapel. It's damn cold out there. Goda-san? Have some coffee waiting for me when I get back, will you? Next to Rudolph, Goda was lying face up. His face was covered by a crossword puzzle book. However, its pages were stained with blood, and you didn't need to move the book to imagine how he had met his pitiful end. How was it? A nice script, don't you think? Yeah? We should be thanking Dad. If we just say it was him being fickle, no one's gonna doubt us. Then, let's split up. I'll take care of Jessica-chan. You take care of George-kun. You got it. Let's get this over with quickly, so we can relax and have some coffee. There won't be any problems, yes? No sudden pains of conscience? Kiri smiled coldly. It probably would have been safer to call them out one by one and finish them off together. However, Kiri had chosen to have her husband work separately. She wanted to measure Rudolph's resolve. If she was the only one who got her hands dirty, and Rudolph just watched, his heart wouldn't be as dedicated to this venture. By having him dirty his own hands, she could make him truly determined to see this thing through. Kiri understood this sort of mind game better than anyone else. Rudolph reflectively averted his gaze from the cold glint in her eyes, and then he just shrugged and answered her question. Of course, we have 1 billion yen riding on this. And I'm a man. I'm not going to miss a chance that'll never come again in my lifetime. I expect no less of you, Rudolph-san. I love people who seize chances when they come. That's why I fell in love with you. Thanks. I'm glad. Rudolph-san. What? Stay like that. Always, okay? Huh? What did you say? Always remain the same Rudolph-san I love. Okay? Of course. When have I ever let you down? They should be worrying more about what kind of champagne we'll use to toast our victory. I'll do that. Take care now. If you really treasure Battler-kun, don't kill George-kun in front of the chapel, okay? It'll be a pain if he finds the body. Yeah, I know. I'll lure him away somehow. We'll be outside, and it's raining. There'd be some way to do it. You aren't a villain in some old western, got it? Don't grant any last requests or take down any final messages, okay? Kiri lifted up her gun again and ran the lever to eject the casing from the round she'd killed Goto with. It seems very much like the fourth game, but not. Dear. Eva was holding Hideyoshi's body and crying. She hadn't been shot at all. The bullet had grazed her head and missed. She hadn't been playing dead. She really thought that she'd been shot. When Kiri's gun spat fire, Eva felt something fierce skim past her head, before feeling lightheaded and fainting. Then she had awoken in the now silent room of the gold. The remains of her beloved husband lay beside her, as well as Kraus, Natsuhi, and Rosa's corpses. It was a room of deaths and piled-up bodies. When she had cried all she could over Hideyoshi's body, she realized that she still had something she needed to do. George is in danger. George! They're trying to use the bomb to blow up everything, to bury this whole island with an explosion accident. Of course, as Eva had expected, the switch on the clock was set to the right, which meant that it was active. Eva moved to flip it to the left, and stopped. That's right. As long as the switch points to the right, everything that happens will disappear in this night of illusions. Yes, this is an illusion. No matter what happens tonight, everything will become muddled and hidden away. They're probably going to kill everyone else. That has to be it. I'm sure of it. When she looked at the table with a box of bullets, she saw signs that they had roughly grabbed a bunch of bullets before leaving. It clearly showed that they planned to use that many bullets. I have to fight, if only to protect just the life of my precious son. The gun that I dropped when I was shot is stuck in the lever open. No matter how hard I pull, it won't open any further and it won't close again. Apparently, a bullet has gotten jammed, breaking it. It's just as Kiri said. Loading a bullet is tough if you aren't used to it. Please, dear, lend me your strength. Lend me your strength so that I can protect George. In Hideyoshi's hand was Krause's gun, which he had been trying to pick up. Eva took it, prayed to her husband one more time, and tugged on the lever handle. With a light metallic sound, the golden casing spun through the air and bounced off the ground. When she timidly tried to push the lever back, this time it returned to its original place without any resistance. There was another metallic clang. It was the sound of a new bullet being loaded. I figured it'd be something like this. Someone scheming to show me the game that disgusts me the most, just to mock me. In the game so far, various people have been suspected of being the culprit or an accomplice. The only difference now was that Rudolph and Kiri were those suspects. However, to Angie, that was the most infuriating plot twist possible. Even Leon was full of painful thoughts. Solving the epitaph was supposed to be the only miracle that could lead to a game without a single victim. But ironically, the tragedy hadn't been averted even so. Does this mean we aren't allowed to have a future where we all happily return from this island alive? Even if the epitaph is miraculously solved before the crime occurs? A miracle certainly will not occur. Those words, which I had heard in one of the fragments Bernkastel had shown me, raced through my mind. Bernkastel-san, you showed me how wonderful my world was. I don't want to believe that you created this tale just to hurt Angie. By now, even I realize that you're the game master here. Please, tell me, why are you showing us this game? Of course, no one answered Leon's muttered question. The game created to mock Angie continued emotionlessly, with more terrible twists that didn't betray anyone's expectations anymore. Show whatever terrible game you like. You're trying to say that this is one of the endless possibilities inside the cat box, right? Just do whatever you want. I won't let something like this get to me. Someday, I'll find out the truth of what happened on October 5th, 1986. After meeting Kiri in the parlor, Jessica was told the test would be held in the dining hall, and she followed Kiri there. Kiri, there's no one here. He'll be here soon. Sit over there. Jessica sat in the chair she had been offered, looking nervous and agitated. Kiri was by far the calmer of the two. Kiri closed the door behind her, revealing the gun that rested behind it. Jessica was facing the other way, so she saw nothing. Did you hear anything about this, Kiri? Like, what kind of test this is? Yes. It'll be over soon. I hope so. As she complained, Jessica turned her head around and the tip of her nose bumped into cold metal. Rudolph? What are you doing? I guess shooting people in the back just isn't for me after all. That was dangerous. What on earth are you doing? Come on. Why else would someone point a gun and pull the trigger? Rudolph reloaded rapidly and pulled the trigger again without any sign of hesitation. As the sound of gunfire thundered through the rain, George grabbed at his side and fell to his knees. That's weird. He does shoot low. This gun's really got it bad. Somebody! Help me! Help us! George started stumbling away, still clutching at his side. His voice as he called for help was weak and thin. In comparison, Rudolph, who stood behind him, looked perfectly calm as he fiddled with his gun and checked his sights. It hurts. It hurts. This helped to George as though something had been gouged into his side. It was so painful that he could barely stand and walk. He leaned against the trunk of a tree. After he crouched down trying to cover his wound, he was no longer able to stand back up. George didn't have a clue what was going on. However, he had felt as though something was wrong this whole time. Of course it was strange that he'd be called out alone to a place like this, at a time like this. And yet, how could he have known that something was wrong? After all, his own uncle had told him that his grandfather was asking him to join the family conference. How could he have suspected? Sorry about this, George-kun. It hurts, doesn't it? If I knew it had come to this, it would have been kinder to blow out your brains from behind. I thought it would be too cruel to cut you off before you knew what hit you, but it looks like I got it backwards. My Uncle Rudolph. I would, my kind uncle, still this. Forget about this. By tomorrow night, all of it won't have happened. With a quick use of the lever handle, he loaded another bullet. The casing of the bullet that had pierced George's side fell heartlessly in front of him. Everyone's gonna die in a sudden and unfortunate accident. Until that moment, we're all a big, happy family. That's how it's gonna be. So don't worry about this. Forget it all. Of course, George didn't have a clue what Rudolph was talking about. All he knew was that Rudolph wanted to kill him, and that he showed no trace of hesitation. His image of Rudolph as the ideal, cool, joke-loving adult. It didn't match up with a man standing in front of him holding a gun. No, maybe this feels wrong because it fits him too well. He has that same smile, as though he's about to tell some hilarious joke. But he's pointing a gun at me. Why would that kind, funny Uncle Rudolph do this? It made him feel unimaginably sad, and tears flowed from his eyes. Uncle Rudolph, I admired you so much. Haven't I always told you, George-kun? Make sure you don't end up as an adult like me. Now you see why. In the next world, make learning how to spot villains your first priority. I know you can do it. After all, it's just another kind of studying. He bit down the pain in his side. With the last of his strength, George threw his whole body into a roundhouse kick. At the same time, fire spat from Rudolph's gun. The bullet pierced George's chest. George spun around as he fell amidst an outpouring of blood. He moaned wordlessly, clenching blood-stained teeth. The frigid gun was pressed harshly against his temple. So long. Go become a great man in the next world. Don't get blinded by money like me. I can't believe that my uncle would kill for money. You're so innocent. People can kill over money. The ruthless trigger forestalled any further questions. Roach's hands, which had been covering his wound, dropped lifelessly. When Rudolph saw the last glimmer of life leave him, he sighed deeply and looked tired. That was easier than I thought. Rudolph looked up into the dark, rainy sky, the raindrops hitting him full in the face, and laughed with an indescribable expression, his tongue hanging out. I thought my conscience would bug me more. Now that it's over, it's pretty easy. Rudolph laughed. This was probably just the thing Kiri had hoped for. It had taken considerable effort to kill George. He may have been merciless, but the last traces of a conscience in Rudolph's heart had probably slowed him down. However, now that he had killed someone with his own hands, a turning point that few people ever reach, Rudolph had finally awakened. No, he finally understood. It's just like squeezing dough out of a bunch of morons. The same old game of musical chairs. If there's a pile of money in front of you, the first one to reach it wins. The slow ones just get kicked down to hell. Haven't I driven dozens of poor fools into debt with my earlier swindles? Several of those probably ended up bankrupt, and some of those might have hanged themselves. And I always laughed like it was none of my business. And that's all there is to it. And the only difference now is that, for the first time, I've dealt the final blow with my own hands. Thanks, Kiri. You're always the best at cutting away my naivety. Rudolph's evil laugh rang out. The laugh was so purely evil it was almost soothing. Hypocritical evil that still contains some pangs of conscience is far more repulsive to behold. If a man's committed to doing great evil anyway, how much more pleasant and gallant is it when he's wholly devoted to his goal? In that sense, Rudolph's evil smile and laugh were pleasant and gallant indeed. Which means the brutal, bloody stage of the dining hall must have been soothing as well. A clang, a thud, a crack, a squish. A strange mixture of these sounds kept repeating over and over at the same tempo. Each time, a red splash landed on the tablecloth dangling nearby. Jessica-chan, can you hear me? Kiri asked this with the sort of smile any aunt might make to her niece. However, Jessica didn't answer. There was nothing particularly surprising about this. After all, by now, her nose had been broken, her eyes had been smashed, her teeth had been knocked out, and not only her nose, but her entire face was now hardly recognizable as a face, just a lump of bloody flesh. Kiri finally stopped her task of repeatedly smashing Jessica's face with the stock of her gun. Still sitting on top of Jessica, she tossed her gun to the side, pulled a compact out of her pocket, and looked at her own face in the mirror. Then, finally, she realized that her face was covered by speckles of fresh blood. Oh, terrible. These clothes will have to go too. With a muffled laugh, Kiri shakily rose to her feet. Jessica wasn't moving anymore. She had been convulsing a bit until a second ago, but now she was as still as stone. Smashing a woman's face is nothing new to your aunt, okay? Sorry about that. If you hadn't resisted, I could have given you a much cleaner death. Kiri pulled the tablecloth off and used it like a towel to wipe the blood from all over her body. However, instead of taking the blood off, it just smeared it around, and did nothing to remove the stench of blood and death that covered her. When she got tired of rubbing the tablecloth against the blood, Kiri walked over to the extension line telephone in the corner of the room. Then she dialed the number for the cousin room in the guest house. Hello, it's me. It's your turn now, Battler-kun. Go to the spot in front of the chapel, please. Yes, that's right. I haven't been given any instructions from Maria-chan. Have her wait there. Yes, keep your wits about you. I'm rooting for you to be chosen as his successor, Battler-kun. The same smile as usual, and the partly wiped splashes of blood still covering her face, Kiri finished her call to Battler. When she set down the receiver, there was a small knock, and Rudolph came back into the room.
Oh.
Hey, you look like shit. Jessica-chan has better reflexes than I gave her credit for. I didn't think she'd be able to fight back in a situation like that. It's a bit of a shame she had to end up looking like this. What a waste of a good Natsuhi-esque woman. And how about your end? Did it give you much trouble? No problems there. Plain and simple. When Kiri heard Rudolph's instant response, she favored him with an evil smile. Yes, the man she loved was the sort who could do it if he tried, without letting cheap emotions get in the way. I love you, Rudolph-san. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's hard to imagine an easier job to net you $1 billion yen. It's like Dad always said. In the life of every man, there comes one day when he has to be willing to kill. In other words, always be determined to survive, even if you have to kill to do it. That's my favorite line of his. What's next? My rifle is hungry for blood. You've got a big job coming up. Convincing Battler-kun. Ah, that's right. That'll be a pain. Hope I don't have to end it by pulling the trigger. I really enjoyed life as a 3-person family with Angie. But if you really want Battler-kun to join in on that, give it your best. Sure. I'll make sure we don't have any complaints from him. Don't worry. I've worked out a scenario to trick him good. Good luck. Even I hope that Angie's beloved big brother doesn't get caught up in the explosion accident. I know. Then I'll head back to the chapel. Rudolph-san. What? If you can't convince Battler-kun. I know. If that happens, bang. Battler-kun is independent enough that he left the family out of protest when I married you, remember? If you can only convince him halfway, and if things get nasty later on, he'll prove fatal to us. I know. Believe in me. And if I decide that Battler-kun is growing suspicious, I'll kill him myself. He's not my kid, after all. Yeah, I know. So, promise me one thing, Kiri. What's that? If I can trick Battler and the 3 of us make it off this island, if that happens, what? Never say that Battler isn't your kid again. After all, you're his mother. Please. Sure, I promise. Kiri shrugged in answer as she loaded bullets. You go to the chapel. I'll wait until Batman is left, and then clean up everything inside the guest house. Are you sure you'll be okay doing that alone? That's my line. Batman left the guest house under an umbrella. He had been called to the area in front of the chapel, just like George had been. Not even 30 minutes had passed since the time George and Jessica had been called out. Apparently, this test didn't last too long. Damn geezer. First you never come out. Not even for lunch, and then you show up in the middle of the night with a test. I bet living as a shut-in's got a sense of day and night all backwards. Complaining all the way, Battler strolled off into the rain. Almost immediately, he was swallowed up by the darkness of the rose garden and passed out of sight. And then, Kiri could be seen coming out from the darkness of the rose garden. Her right hand held a gun, her left an umbrella. Her inner pocket contained the massive keyring she had stolen from Goda. Her right pocket had a handful of bullets. Her left held a knife she had taken from the kitchen. She was carefully and perfectly outfitted murderer. Another bolt of lightning struck down the swirling skies. It lit up only half of Kiri's face. Her cheek was still covered with Jessica's blood. Under the eaves, Kiri folded up her umbrella, smiled, and spoke to no one. Hey everyone, I'm home. Rudolph could be seen under the eaves of the chapel. He had hidden his gun in the nearby shadows and was now smoking a cigarette. Shouldn't be easy to trick that dimwit. If it doesn't work, that's just too bad. He glanced over at the place he had stowed his gun. The cigarette smoke began to pleasantly cloud his mind. Battler isn't a kid anymore. He's an adult who can choose his path through life as he pleases. When animals grow up, it's normal for them to form a group and go on a journey. Humans are the only ones that keep treating their young like kids even after they get big. If I'd known it had come to this, I never would have begged for you to come back. I regret dragging you back into the family. He puffed out those words, along with the smoke. When Battler came, he didn't intend to voice those regrets of his. Rudolph was already determined to play the part of the evil murderer who kills for money. He's still not here. What's taking him so long? At that moment, he heard the sound of someone stepping on gravel. He looked up, thinking that Battler had finally arrived. The sound had come from the direction opposite of the mansion. Rudolph, how could you do that to my husband? Aniki, so you're alive. Sorry that I'm alive. Too bad. But my husband wasn't so lucky. How could you? How could you? With a face obscured by anger and tears, Eva slowly walked closer, her gun raised. Her husband had been killed right in front of her. She probably wouldn't even hesitate. Realizing that a gun, quivering with anger, was pointed right at his chest, Rudolph backed away. As he pretended to retreat, he approached the gun he had hidden in the shadows. Calm down, Aniki. Put the gun down. I never wanted that to happen. Everything happened so fast. There's nothing I could do. How can you tell such half-baked lies? As Eva had said, it really had been a half-baked, pointless thing to say. Rudolph would have said anything if he thought it would calm Eva's emotion before she pulled the trigger, when she looked capable of doing it any moment now. Then, Rudolph's foot came in contact with his gun. Let's just talk this over. George-kun should be here soon. No. Hey, George-kun, over here. Rudolph waved as though George was coming from behind Eva. Let Eva's attention turn in that direction. That idiot. My simple big sister has always been a sucker. Die. Gunfire. Then, a bit later, the sound of something heavier than rain drip-dropping onto the cobblestone. Rudolph, I've always been able to see through your tricks. The bullet Eva fired went straight into Rudolph's chest. The bullet Rudolph fired at Eva missed, landing near her feet. Yes, I was right. This gun does shoot low. He dropped the gun into a puddle with a splash, staggered backwards, and leaned against the wall of the chapel. No, that's not it. All good westerns end with the bad guy's bullet missing. Eva dashed up to him, kicked away the gun that had fallen into a puddle, and grabbed Rudolph by the collar. What about George? Where is he? I won't let you kill him. Sorry, Aniki. Already got him. Liar. Did it in the bushes over there. Go take a look. You'll see soon. Rudolph. You. Eva, who claimed to know all of her little brother's tricks, also knew that Rudolph's final words, as his conscience began to fade thanks to the bullet wound, were not to lie. Could you? George! George! An empty shell casing bounced off the cobblestone. The furious gun barrel was pressed against Rudolph's forehead. Go ahead and shoot. I doubt that'll bring you much peace, though. A bolt of lightning turned everything white. However, the wall of the chapel was stained blood red. A red splash, like a crushed tomato, came out from the back of Rudolph's head and covered the wall. Then, leaving a red trail behind him, Rudolph sagged downwards, sat on the ground, and fell over. George! 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 Eva dashed off towards the bushes. She found George's corpse almost immediately, screamed, and broke down sobbing. Rudolph's bloody corpse was exposed to the rain that ran down off the eaves. His eyes were still wide open. A fist-sized flesh-covered hole was open in the back of his head, and his insides were exposed to the open air. Inside was a mixed jelly of flesh, brains, and spinal fluid. That goop, which looked like someone had mixed it up with a spoon, dripped from his eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and the hole in his head. Dad. Dad. Angie clutched at her head, sobbing and moaning. Her father had dirtied his hands with murder over money, and on top of that he had faced such a cruel end, and Angie had been forced to see his corpse. It was hard to imagine a more painful experience for a daughter to go through. I'm totally fed up with this. It's completely meaningless. Bernkastel-san. I know you're here somewhere. Please, make this game stop. There's no point to it. As if in answer to that yell, a black shadow appeared a few seats in front of them. Or perhaps she was sitting there the whole time. Maybe we just couldn't see her until we were aware of her. It was, without a doubt, the back of Bernkastel's head. Bernkastel-san. Pipe down back there. Can't you watch the show quietly? The witch turned around with bored eyes, as though the two people yelling were the strange ones. Please stop this. We realize that this is the sealed cat box rule of October 4th and 5th. The games are like messages, or maybe more like a roundabout love letter. A single message can be conveyed over several games. But now we understand. We know that endless tales can seep out of the sealed 2-day cat box. And beyond that, I even know the culprit and the motive. That has already been revealed, and it doesn't even have anything to do with this game. We both know the answer, that this is a cat box tale. So there shouldn't be any need for any further games. If this is supposed to be a game between you and us, then we already know the answer. This game should be over. Just shut up already. Didn't you hear Byrne tell you to be quiet? Another shadow appeared in the next seat over, turned around and scolded the pair. There is a point. If you just watch, you'll see it. Are you the game master? Not at all. Then who is it? Could it be Claire? If you watch, you'll see. Not much longer now. The tragedy has already reached its climax. Who will survive, I wonder? Bernkastel isn't the game master? Then who is? Could Claire have created this cruel tale? Or are there even more witches playing around with this cat box? The guest house was wrapped in silence. There were no sounds, no trace of anyone's presence, no breathing from anyone alive. There wasn't anything to be heard anymore. If anything could be heard, it was the sound of the murderer's feet stepping across the floor. Kiri slowly passed through the lounge. In her right hand was a gun. In her left hand was a knife. The knife was stained with blood, and some was still dripping from the tip, leaving behind red tracks like a demon's footprints. Her hands were filled with tools of murder, so she wasn't capable of doing anything but murder. In that sense, at that moment, she was clearly and purely a murderer. The murderer went to the entrance hall, and then, only after reaching the front door, looked down to see the two blood-stained hands of the killer. Those hands gripped the tools of death that had performed a cruel massacre. Then, at last, the murderer realized that it wouldn't even be possible to open the door like this, and tossed aside the knife. Then the murderer reached out to the door, turned around calmly, and spoke. Sorry, everyone. But don't worry. A few days later, the newspapers would be talking about an unfortunate accident. And I'm sure the news shows, the papers, and rumor mongers everywhere will be sure that you spent your time in happy ignorance until the instant of the accident. In other words, you'll all have had a good time until midnight on October 5th. So said the one who had stained that bloody guest house red. At this hour, the cousins were all staying up late and playing around. And the servants who have to get up early are all snoring. The ones on the late shift are probably filling in the log or taking a break about town. That's how it is. From where I am now, I can hear laughter coming from the cousin room. Humans outside the cat box would probably never understand what Kiri was saying. Only she, shut inside the cat box of the explosion accident, could know what it really meant. Had a blip there for a while. Outside, the rain poured down heavily. Kiri almost picked up an umbrella, but then stopped suddenly, as if she just thought of something. Then she started walking out into the rain, not caring at all whether she got wet or not. Did the murderer not want an umbrella to get in the way of her gun? Or was she hoping that the rain could act as a shower to get the blood off her? Kiri stopped walking, as though something unexpected had caught her attention. However, this time, it was no whim of hers. How could you kill my husband? Oh, Eva-san. That's surprising. How could I have missed you from that distance? I'm just as surprised. I didn't think I'd survive. You came here from the underground stairway behind the chapel, right? In that case... That's right. I bumped into Rudolph in front of the chapel. And how was he doing? Oh, just wonderful. We managed to have a friendly sibling chat for the first time in a while. I see. He's such a show-off, but so unreliable in a tight spot. Looks like you can't do anything without me after all. After that short exchange of words, Kiri already knew that Rudolph had been killed. However, no trace of urgency or panic rose to her face. She just closed her eyes with her usual, unconcerned expression, and when she opened them again, she had regained her composed smile. Thank you. I'm grateful. This way, I really can have everything to myself. What's that blood on your clothes? You just came out of the guest house, didn't you? Don't tell me. Yes, that's right. I'm right in the middle of a murder case at the moment. Killed them? All of them? Even Maria-chan? There's no need to let them live until morning. When morning came, there would be an uproar, and that could be of pain. They might have used the radio to contact someone off the island and gotten help. So this is clearly the optimal move to take. You spin the chessboard around and look at it that way, right? Monster! I can't believe you could be so blinded by greed that you'd commit murder. You weren't doing so bad yourself. That was an accident. I didn't mean to kill them. Unlike you. No, just like me. If that gun hadn't gone off, you would have kept on arguing and jumping at each other. Then the rest of you would have eventually reached the same answer as me. Just a few steps slower. I'm not a murderer. Not true. You're just a murderer who didn't get a chance. You've just been saved by that accidental discharge. If it weren't for that bit of good luck, and if I hadn't moved before you did, then you would have played the same role I'm playing now. That fact won't go away, no matter how much you try to deny it. It's the truth of a different future. Don't try and confuse me. However, on the inside, Eva understood. Back then, she had probably been saved by that accidental discharge, by a coincidence. If the argument had continued much longer, she would surely have grown a desire to kill Kraus and the others, and might even have carried it out. She simply could not deny the existence of that demon deep within her heart. Only the Cedar Goers knew. They knew that she could become a killer in another world. Kiri, who didn't have the theater-going ability, knew this fact as well. Maybe there really was something extraordinary about her after all. So, for some time, Eva could only grind her teeth in silence, still pointing her gun. I don't understand. You're also a mother. You felt the pain of giving birth to your own child. How can you not know how precious a life is? How are you capable of doing all this? That's the thing about kids. If you just sleep around, they get made all by themselves. That's not what I'm talking about. You say that children are bonds, right? What? Children are bonds used to tie you to your husband. She was a bond to make Rudolph-san acknowledge me, so I could take him back from that woman. But you've killed Rudolph-san now. You understand what that means, right? What do you mean? I understand. Just that, right now. I'm the wife of no man, and I have no intention of being a mother. I am me, Kiri. Now that Rudolph-san's dead, I'm not even in Ushiramiya anymore. I live to benefit me. Right. Rudolph is dead, so maybe you aren't the wife anymore. But you still have Angie-chan, don't you? You're still a mother, aren't you? Didn't you hear what I just said about bonds? Now that Rudolph-san is gone, and she is of no use to me. How can any mother say that about their own daughter? Eva-ne-san, let's put a stop to this. We can be honest here. Honest? Did either of us marry because we wanted children? We didn't, right? We married because we wanted to live with the man we love. And once you've married, you never want to let that man go for the rest of your life, correct? Children are just weapons to be used for that goal. I'd never have children for a reason like that. People can have children for just that reason. People can have children for a lot less reason. Kiri kept on speaking emotionlessly, ignoring the falling rain. Her relaxed smile didn't falter for an instant. Angie was just a chain I used to tie Rudolph-san to me. Or you can call her a chess piece, someone to play the role of the kid in our family drama. To me, Angie was nothing more than a piece, necessary so that I could act the part of the good mother in front of Rudolph-san. Could you say that to Angie-chan's face? It'll be just a bit too sad, so I won't say it to her directly. I plan to write her a letter asking her to forgive her bad mother, then vanish from her life. You've seen what Rosa-san and Maria-chan are like, right? Now that Rudolph-san's gone, Angie's just a chain tying me down. I'll go back to being just Kiri and enjoy the rest of my life at my leisure. A new challenge and a new life. And maybe even a new love. And you call yourself human. You call yourself Angie-chan's mother? Who gives a damn about Angie? I never liked that little brat. How can you... You've been released from your family drama too, haven't you? You sing the praises of a woman's freedom. You should thank me for having George-kun killed for you too. You monster! Two yells and the sound of gunfire thundered across the dark rose garden. Slowly, Eva fell backwards. Then she landed in a puzzle, scattering countless drops of water. Across from her, Kiri spun around as though dancing. Beautiful black rose petals scattered around her. The petals were a dark, dark red. As they sprayed from her throat, she spun around in a circle and slowly crumpled. Then she fell to the ground, sending muddy water flying. The two women had shot and fallen. However, when the thunder roared, only Eva stood back up. Eva hadn't been shot. Kiri's intensity had made her fall backwards, but the bullet once again slipped right past her. Eva cursed her good luck. Why couldn't this luck have saved her husband or her son? Die there, for Angie-chan's sake as well. You will be killed in the explosion accident. Until the moment of your death, you worried about the daughter you left behind. Yes. I'll write that into the lid of the cap box. When Kiri heard this, blood dripped from her grinning mouth, and she seemed to say something in response. However, her voice only came out as globs of blood from the hole in her throat, not words. Mom. No. It's a lie. It's all a lie. Angie, please calm down. This is just a game. That couldn't possibly be what your mother truly feels. It's just something that the game master made out of curiosity say. Saying that did nothing to calm Angie's sobs. I don't blame her. Even if she knows it's just a game, she's been forced to see not only her mother's death, but also her mother announcing that she was the culprit of a mass murder who didn't even love her own daughter. Anyone would sob after hearing that. Berncastle-san, enough of this. I don't care who the game master is. Stop this pointless game right now. When Leon yelled this, the cedar suddenly went pitch black, swallowed in darkness. However, that wasn't enough to shock Leon. Leon continued to yell Berncastle's name into the darkness, telling the witch to stop this game. Then, a single beam of light shone down upon the stage. And there was Claire, the one who had appeared for just a second right before this cruel game began. Claire, so you were the game master after all? I don't get it. Why? Claire didn't answer. In fact, it looks as though she hadn't even heard. Her eyes were blank, and you couldn't tell what she was looking at. In fact, she was even forgetting to blink. She looked just like a doll. Then another beam of light lit up the side of the stage. Beneath that light stood Burncastle. At the same moment, though there appeared to be no one in the audience, a thunderous applause rang out. Burncastle raised her right hand in response to the applause. She kept doing so until it died down. Burncastle-san. So, you were the master of this game after all. Leon, how many times do I have to tell you that I'm not the game master? Then, are you saying it's Claire? That's impossible. Yeah? Of course it's impossible. After all, Claire died. We're just conducting her funeral. Did you forget that? Then, it was standing there. A corpse. She's not a mannequin. So, of course, she still has her insides. She's hiding it under a beautiful exterior, but she's actually packed full of guts. When Burncastle raised her right hand, a light fell on it, and a black, shining scythe appeared there. It was a cold, merciless, and cruel object, like something a classic Grim Reaper might hold. What are you planning to do? When they're alive, you can enjoy watching them struggle. When they're dead, you can enjoy tearing out their guts. Tales are things you get to enjoy twice. And that's what it means to be a witch of theater going. Burncastle pressed the blade of her Reaper's scythe against Claire's stomach, and slowly slid it across. Then, along the line she traced, Claire's dress was sliced open. It was now clear that the scythe she held was not a fake one for theatrical use, and it was clear just what she planned to do next with that made her cruel smile so fitting. Angie, can you hear me? I hear you. Tear it to bits. Make me read. What's next? Are you showing me this worst possible tale to hurt me even more? Is this fun for you? Yeah, I'll bet it is. I had a blast too. You think that I'd give up after that? You think I'll sit around crying any longer because of that disgusting game of yours? Both you and Leon seem to have the wrong idea. I'm not the game master. This tale is not one that I created. Then that woman in the dress is the game master? No, she isn't. That can't be. Then who is the game master? Who wrote this disgusting tale? You still don't understand? What don't you understand? Angie, you gambled everything on a faint chance of a miracle, throwing yourself forward. I invited you to October 4th and 5th of 1986, out of respect for your courage. What was your goal? To take your family back. That would be a very difficult thing, and without the blessing of a miracle, a thoroughly impossible one. You were prepared for that, weren't you? Yes, I'm prepared. And I still haven't given up on Oni-chan, Mom, and Dad. Whether you give up or not is your choice. That's your own game, after all. I won't support you, and I won't even watch. I've already enjoyed my fill of games that use the piece you are, so I have no need for you any longer. Glad to hear it. Then why am I here? Aren't you the one who invited me? Yes. That's right. I invited you here to thank you for entertaining me for a while as my piece. To thank me? Well, this is how witches show gratitude. Sure, this has been loads of fun, you beast. How did you make this kind of game and do that to Dad and Mom? Angie, you made a wish, hoping to take your family back. However, you also made another wish. Remember? No, I don't. You wanted to know what happened on that day. What happened on Rokujima on October 4th and 5th, 1986? Didn't Angie leave on her journey with Amakusa because she longed to answer that question? That's right. So what's your point? You don't mean... Leon realized what Burncastle was getting at. Realized, and was unable to say any more. The Game Master is neither Burncastle nor Claire. Then who is it? That's the wrong question. There is no Game Master. That could only mean one thing. Angie, you still don't understand? What? This is the truth? The insides of the cat box of October 4th and 5th, 1986. Afterwards, Eva survived the explosion by escaping to Kuadorian. And, since she never spoke of the inside of the cat box, no matter how much you wanted to know, that truth was shut within the cat box for all eternity. What are you saying? Only Eva returned alive. Even though the police claimed it was an accident, the public didn't believe it. Then she took over her husband's company, and the harder she worked to make it more and more successful, the more enemies she made. A public image of her as a great queen of conspiracy grew stronger and stronger. I'm sure she wanted to tell people about the truth. That truth that no one would ever believe without proof. Bit by bit, Eva's heart began to snap. You rejected Eva, so she rejected you in turn. The relationship between the last two members of your family was strained to the limit. Each time she compared you with her beloved son, she grew more and more twisted and broken. Then, a strange message bottle was picked up and became a topic of conversation. It contained a bizarre story, one that told of a mysterious serial murder connected to Rokkenjima's gold. Everyone rejected the explosion accident theory and started to think of conspiracy theories. Some of those theories named Eva as the culprit, which tormented her even more. However, Eva used that to build up the cat box, and until the moment of her death, she protected it. She protected the lock that held the cat box shut. So, no human would ever reach the truth inside the cat box. Not unless those witches who crossed the sea of fragments opened the lock. This is the truth. You're lying. You're lying. Lying. If this really is the truth, you should be able to say so in red. There's no way you can. Of course there isn't. Angie. Angie, calm down. Huh? Angie writhed with such strength that the chains on her arms and legs looked like they might snap. All over her body, a red, gooey liquid started to seep out. It was as though cracks had opened up all over her, and blood was leaking out of all of them. What's that? You want me to announce it clearly with the red truth? Then I'll say it just for you. That this is all truth. Angie's yell covered up Burn's red truth. Stupid kid. If only you hadn't made me say that, you could have shut it up inside the cat box. You just had to ask, right? I knew you would, of course. And I so wanted to see you scream like that. A lovely expression like that should keep me laughing for about 100 years. Go back to being scrap meat. Damn it. It's a lie, right? Lies. 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 Angie! As Angie held her head and screamed, the blood dripping from her finally grew so thick that it started scattering all over the place. Then, bit by bit, her body began to melt. No, fall apart. Then, bits of her began to pile up on the chair, until she was nothing but a pile of guts and scrap. Is the truth really that sacred? How absurd. How foolish. Why can't humans control their own truth? They stupidly search for the truth like that's all that matters. And when they finally find it and can't stand it, they turn themselves into scrap meat. Hey, are you watching? Claire? You wanted to hide this truth too, didn't you? For fun, you wrote several catbox tales and planned to seal them in message bottles like the end of a mystery novel you loved. Then you threw them into the sea to save those who would suffer if they knew this truth. You sealed everything in a cat box, and Eva provided the lock. And I've sliced that box open for you. All that effort you spent to hide it has gone to waste. I've exposed all of the truth you hid with your death. What you've been after? You did all this just to mock Claire's death? And then you showed it to Angie to make her suffer? You really were an evil witch after all. I've been a witch this whole time. A traveler whose only goal is to escape boredom, care for it, and love it while it's alive, then eat the guts when it's dead. That's how witches live. I cannot forgive you for what you've done. You've hurt Angie and humiliated Claire, the person I would become in another world. I won't forgive you. Leon, you're still Claire's hope, even after her death. From the moment Claire got thrown off that cliff, her fate was already sealed. I'm sure she felt a little bit of salvation to know that another her lives in happiness in another world. That's right. I'm her salvation. So, I must live life to the fullest for the both of us. Leon, let me show you just a bit more of this tale of the truth. I'm not interested. No, it'll be very interesting. After the duel between Eva and Kiri, the guest house is wrapped in silence. Let me invite you to the parlor at that point in time. The parlor? The one in the mansion? Berncastle snapped her fingers, and the scene of the mansion's parlor unfolded before them. In the cruel tale they had just been shown, the parlor hadn't been particularly important. Jessica had been summoned to the parlor, but she was then immediately led to the dining hall and killed there. So, there hadn't been anything to see in the parlor. And in fact, there was nothing to see in the parlor now appearing before Leon. Just what's supposed to be here? As you can see, there's nothing here. But watch. I'm about to show you something interesting. If you call it interesting, that's a sure sign that it isn't. Go on, take a look. It's right there, right in that corner. Berncastle was pointing at nothing more than a corner of the room. There was nothing there. She had told Leon to look there, so the latter was expecting something terrible to be there. But there really was nothing there at all. That's right. There's nothing there. At least, not in this world. But what if you peek into the next fragment over? Is it Battler? On the white, blank wall, bit by bit, a splash of blood seeped into view. Then, right there, a corpse appeared. But that couldn't be. This is... me? It was Leon, lying dead against the wall. Ushima and Leon's corpse lay there exposed. What's going on here? Why am I here? This is supposed to be Claire's world, not mine. Claire and I can't exist at the same time, right? Yes, that's right. That's because I just switched worlds. Switched fragments. Switched to your world, that is. I don't understand. It's very simple. They both send the same way. I don't get it. Why should I be dead here? In your world, on October 4th, 1986, Beatrice's funeral was held just before the family conference. Yes, I know that. And for me, that happened today, a short while ago. I don't know what will happen between that time and late that night. Nothing at all. The cousins will all play together and the whole family will have dinner together. And then comes the family conference after night falls. You were going to succeed the headship when you turned 20, right? Was the entire family satisfied with that, I wonder? I don't know if they were satisfied. The decision had been made. The head made it himself. Looks like even you don't really believe they were satisfied. That's it, right there. Kinzo adored you more than anything, so he tried to make an exception and have you succeed the headship directly. Of course, his children wouldn't have been happy with that. The siblings objected to having Leon succeed the headship. Even Kraus joined in, saying that Leon was still too young. Then, on the night of the family conference, Kinzo tried proposing a difficult riddle. Could it be... That's right. The riddle of the epitaph. As you can tell by the mechanism set into the chapel, Kinzo thought up the epitaph right near the beginning, when the mansion on Rokkenjima was being built. He had the romantic idea of someday using it as a test to select his successor. Kinzo decided to present that riddle at the family conference. Did he plan to give the position of successor to the person who solved it? Or did he promise to reconsider Leon's proposal as the successor if it was solved? Either way, Kinzo was confident. He was confident that no one would be able to solve this tough riddle, which he had created himself. After that, everything happened exactly like the truth you just saw. The siblings solved it right away, and there was a quarrel over the pile of gold. Then, Kiri and Rudolph decided to prevent any chance of the crime being discovered the next morning, and an outcry being raised by committing murder late at night. They used the phone to call the kids out from the cousin room one by one, and killed them. As the first of the cousins, you were the first to be called out. Then Kiri shot you dead right here in the parlor. No, that's not quite right. You're the Ushmiya Leon from the early evening of October 4th, 1986. So say it this way. Tonight, Kiri will shoot you dead in the parlor. That's insane. That's right. Probability. Just like Leon can be born from prayers thanks to a rare miracle, and Kiri only commits murder with a sign of probability. Close to 0. That must be it. Aren't you the witch who specializes in finding extremely improbable words? Worlds? That is correct. I had to find one fragment out of 2,578,917 in order to discover the miracle that is you. However, it was very, very easy to find this result for your world. After all, probability isn't a factor. I'm a witch who can find any miracle, no matter how unlikely it is. But I can't find things that don't exist. If the witch's certainty really guarantees that something is certain, even I can't win against her. But then with the 2,578,916 out of 2,578,917 probability, you live in the world where you declare, get toyed with by an inescapable fate, and reach a tragic end. And with a 1 out of 2,578,917 probability, you live as Ushmiya Leon, and are killed by Kiri tonight. In other words, your fate. No, the fate the two of you share traps you in an inescapable dead end, a hell of fate, with a 2,578,917 out of 2,578,917 probability. To put it another way, it's a certain fate with absolutely no chance for a miracle. Sucks for you, Claire. Or should I say, Beatrice? Just when a bright light seemed to turn the world white, the scene suddenly changed back to the theater. On the stage, Berncastle's Reaper's sight slid across Claire's stomach as the liar stood absolutely still. A red line was drawn across the white skin, exposed now that the dress had been cut and black blood began to seep out. Beatrice, trapped in that inescapable, certain, locked-away pair of days, you became a witch who could give birth to endless possibilities within that 2-day cat box. In exchange, it was absolutely certain that you would not be saved or rewarded. However, you had a dream. You dreamed of Ushmiya Leon. You consoled yourself with the thoughts of a miracle world, where you could have lived in happiness without ever becoming Claire. I had to work hard to find Leon. Just as Beatrice's dream, Leon's existence is a true miracle. And at the end of your funeral, I wanted to show you. To show you that, even with that miracle, you couldn't have escaped from tragedy. Yeah. Just the climax, man. The small crack between the bars of the jail that imprisoned her. The witch called Beatrice dreamed of a world where she might have been happy. However, the space she could see through that crack in the bars was just another part of the same jail. The more I hear, the less I understand about you. Why would you do something like this? I lost the game to Beatrice, so I wanted to get back at her. Yeah. Now I feel a lot better about losing that game. Hey, Beato, are you watching? Can you see this? And do you remember? Remember when I promised you that a miracle wouldn't occur? With certainty? So, Leon, allow me to return you to your world, right before Beato's eyes. It looks like the theater-going witches are all sick and tired of those happy family get-together scenes. So, I'll send you to the moment just before Kiri shoots you. Then, I'll make Beato watch that moment. Just a bit, yeah. Die, scum Leon. The last hope of that scum Beato. Burncastle raised her Reaper's scythe, swung it down with gusto, and plunged it deep into Claire's stomach. Did you think you'd get an easy death? But humiliating and tearing out a corpse's guts is my specialty. She took the blade end of the scythe and heartlessly, ruthlessly, brutally raised it up into the air. Along a vertical line from Claire's stomach to her chest, the blade cut deeply, slicing Claire open. The red-black insides jutted out, then burst like a dam breaking, covering the world with dark red entrails. Steal the Italian's gold, you say? You coward, Ushurmia! And you call yourself a soldier of the Empire? Father? I do love and respect you, Father. But your feelings are something Why? Why did you save me? Why didn't you let me die? Because of that terrible injury, I've been forced to live in a body like this. I never wanted to live in a body like this. This body that isn't even capable of love. What's the point of living like that? This isn't a human's life. It's like being furniture. That's right. I'm furniture. Furniture. Why did you let me die back then? Huh? When I came to, I was in the parlor of the mansion. When did I get here? I heard a sound behind me, and slowly turned around. And there... Sorry. Please don't take this personally. Huh? I could see down the frigid barrel of the gun, and Kiri was pointing. Then, she slowly pulled the trigger. I could feel a razor-sharp wind passing my body, like a knife slicing through butter. Prepared for death and hoping to see my fate until the end, I slowly opened my eyes. The world had been cut in two. Kiri was frozen in place like a statue, still pointing her gun with a cold smile on her face, and had been cut in half at an angle, the top part of her slowly sliding off to the side. No, that wasn't quite right. That wasn't right at all. It wasn't just Kiri. The whole world had been sliced in half at an angle, but slowly sliding off to one side. Then, immediately after fissures seemed to appear across the world, it shattered. I will. Fancy meeting you here. When you own a cat, you tend to pick up their habits. He pointed at Berncastle with the tip of the pitch-black sword that had sliced the worlds, glaring at her. What's this? Are you saying you came back here on a whim? There was no way you'd end things on a happy note. Do you really hate Beatrice so much? You think I'd let her win and get away? I have to pay her back in full for the humiliation she caused me. When I hold a grudge, a mere century isn't long enough for me to forget it. You're a gloomy person. Come on, you mustn't neglect my heart. Are you okay, Leon? Hey, what's wrong? Leon had suddenly doubled over, groaning. My chest hurts. Will roughly grabbed the hand that was pressed against Leon's chest and tore it away. Blood was seeping out from where Leon's hand had been. It was the place that the bullet would have entered if Kiri had shot Leon. Looks like Leon's body was almost ready to accept its fate. Leon, hang in there. Damn these chains. When Will tried to pick Leon's body up, he finally noticed the chains attached to each wrist and ankle. What's this? You're trying to take that kid and escape. I won't let you. I'm about to let everyone watch as Leon coughs up blood, despairing at the fact that there's no hope in any of the many worlds, before finally dying in agony. Leon isn't a show. Will swung his pitch-black sword and destroyed the chains binding Leon. The chains and shackles shattered into little bits like glass, then vanished. You intend to get in the way of my fun? You aren't God. All you can do is sneer at fate. Leon's fate is going to be decided by Leon. You can't treat a human's fate like a toy. You've got guts saying that to the great Berncastle, witch of the Senate. I have no more use for you either. Get it? You've shown that Beato's fantasy is a mystery and cut it to pieces. You fulfilled your role. I would have let you be, only just left quietly. Now that you've strolled back in here, you can hardly complain if I make you my plaything. Come to me, my cute kitties. Scratch them up and tear off their skin. Peel them like grapes. When Berncastle clapped her hands twice, countless pairs of glaring jewels appeared all around Will and Leon. They were clearly cat eyes, but the way the drool hung from their mouths was far more terrifying than any cat. Will. I'll handle this. Trimming kitty nails is nothing new to me. The number of jewels surrounding them already reached into the thousands. Will pointed his sword in one direction after another, warding off the surrounding cats. Get a grip, Leon. You haven't been shot. Don't acknowledge that you have been. Not that you're going to be shot. Leon tried to fight an incredible tearing pain. No, it was a fight against the promised future that Berncastle had shown. However, the stake of that future, which the Witch of Miracles had guaranteed would contain no miracle, was firm and merciless. Bit by bit, and yet unceasingly, it continued to pierce into Leon's chest. Listen up. I'm going to break through their perimeter for just a second. When I do, you need to run with all you've got. It doesn't matter where. Just make sure you get far away from this place. And keep on running no matter what happens. I'll try to the best of my ability. If I can't do it, please forgive me. If you can't do it, enough whining. I won't forgive you. Neither will Claire. Did you forget that you're Claire's 1,570,917 chance? If you give up, you're betraying all the other yous in countless worlds. So don't lose heart. Keep on struggling and struggling. Don't look for a miracle. Be one. Be a miracle? You're going to reach a happy future. Don't give up. Don't complain. Just you try complaining again. This time I'll pinch your ass. How very confident you are, telling this kid to be a miracle when you stand before the Witch of Miracles. Miracles are no more than fantasy. Grovel in this world that has been convicted as a mystery, and die horribly like a worm. Our world's falling apart, man. The witches of Theatergrown are looking forward to watching it. You call that mystery? You think I'd ever accept a mystery without a heart? Let the cat who wants to be made into a shamisen strike first. What a pain. Let's have all of you at once. I'm Willard H. Wright, SSVD's head inquisitor of heresy. This will be the final time I draw my sword. Trash him, kitties. At once, all of the cat eyes opened wide, undulating and spinning in a spiral, then swallowed Will up. But Will and Leon weren't swallowed up. The cats had flown in at them from all directions, were now being launched away, like they were a balloon hopping around the pair. Oh, not bad. I don't give a damn about your kitties. It's just the mama cat I care about. Burn Castle, Witch of Miracles. It's about time someone trimmed your claws. Another flash of the black blade spun in a dark tornado and scattered the cats once more. Leon, realizing that this was the opening Will had planned, ran all out, still clutching at a heaving chest. Well, I'm running. Diana has a weak stomach. Make sure you only give her milk that's warm. Huh? By the time Leon asked Will to repeat what he had said, he had already leapt onto the stage and was now confronting Burncastle. On stage, huh? It was like the climax of a show. Yep. Loud cheers erupted from the pitch-black audience seating. On either side of Claire, who lay with their insides exposed, stood Will with his pitch-black sword, and Burncastle with the scythe that could harvest miracles from fate. Kyrie and Rudolph are the culprits, and they massacred the people on the island. They called Leon out to the parlor, then shot Leon to death. Sorry, but I can't acknowledge this truth of yours as a mystery. This is all fantasy. Fantasy? I'm calling it that to try and let Leon escape fate. By all means, try. It is forbidden to have a crime without all clues presented. Surely, Bill's black sword must have cut through Berncastle's body. However, it had no effect, like cutting the reflection of the moon on the water. What's this? What do you mean by clues? I won't accept your mystery with Kiri and Rudolph as the culprits. You won't find clues showing that they're the culprits no matter which game you look at. Of course you won't. Even if they did exist at one point, the whole island blew up. Which means there aren't any clues. And that means this is no mystery. It's fantasy. Huh? It's impossible for an unprovable truth to become truth in the human world. In other words, even the actual truth cannot cross the boundary of a cat box. We're trying to shut the truth inside the cat box. This is how the mystery genre is supposed to fight. With a laugh like the howl of a wild animal, Berncastle carelessly tossed her scythe aside. The fighting itself is a waste of time. Get over here, scum. Try and cut me all you like. I'll listen to all you've got to say. The 20 wedges will pierce every part of your heartless mystery. Here it comes. And when you realize that you can't defeat me with those 20 wedges, you know what'll happen next, right? Come on. I'll play with you, if that's what you want. Alright. Alright. Yo. Actually, I wanted to try and go and try other games. I was expecting them to be a lopsided time slot. But this ended at exactly 6, which is weird. So I think I'm actually gonna call this game after this credit sequence, or what have you. But yeah, that was interesting. And yeah, I saw that as the Truth Avengers world very early on. But that was interesting, and I'm assuming that the section is going to be Berncastle versus Will fight. Right. So, but yeah, this took technically twice as long as you told me it would be. But I don't blame you the slightest. Things get really hard to time. I am bad at time slots myself. Umineko no Naku Kodonichiru, Nocturne of Truth and Illusions. Yeah. I found that it works best to overestimate how long things will be, and then if it happens to be shorter, everybody's happy. Hey, good look, it's shorter. Oh, still going? Is this trying to ignore the pain in the chest? Oop. Give me a sec. Trying to ignore the incredible pain in the chest, Leon kept on running and running without stopping. Alright, I'll push forward then. I dashed out of the theater-going witches, then ran through an incomprehensible world of blackness. Before I knew it, I was running through a place that looked like a sea of stars. Or maybe the bottom of the ocean with stars scattered around. If I get careless for a second, I'll probably trip. No, if I get careless, I won't be able to tell if I'm running, or just making running motions as I freefall. endlessly sinking deeper into the ocean of stars. I just kept on running, without any goal or target. I mustn't stop moving. I mustn't fall down here. If I fall, I'll crush the hope of the me's in countless worlds. There's a happy world that the Beatrices dreamed of, and I'm their last hope, the only one who can reach that world. Even though I understand this, the truth thrust in front of me by the witch who controls miracles, who says there can be no miracle, is cruelly gouging inside itself into my chest. Sorry. Well, my body's not ready. Then, Leon finally succumbed to the fierce pain and fate, and fell over. Leon's body was held roughly from behind and lifted up. I did check it out. I think that at that time I was having trouble finding an actual downloadable demo version. I'll check it out again. I don't know what. Well, you're okay. No, not really. Don't you give up. Did I tell you to pinch your ass? Sorry. Really sorry, but on that day, in that place, I was fated to be killed. That's right. All humans are fated to die in the end. Does that mean their lives are meaningless? Of course not. What a person's life means, what it's worth, what it is, these are things each person decides for themselves. No matter what sort of fate is forced upon them, don't accept it. Create your own world for yourself. Well, your left arm. Oh, right. Must have forgotten it. It'd be a pain to go back and get it now. There were rips all over Will's body. Also, his left arm had been brutally torn off from the elbow. His clothes were in tatters, and he looked like a blood-stained scarecrow. Then, Leon noticed. Though this place had once felt like a sea filled with stars, both above and below them, those stars had now gathered together and were surrounding them. It was a huge, even number of stars, all glaring back at the two of them. Will was holding Leon with one arm. He couldn't take his sword out. However, he didn't let go. He was determined to let Leon escape from here, to lead Leon towards the happy tale that the Beatrices had dreamed of. Behind the cats whose eyes glowed out of the empty darkness, the queen of cats who permitted no miracles appeared. Willard, put Leon down. If you do, I'll let you go. Go file a protest with the Great Court. You can put it up for debate. Will, I won't leave you behind. I need to tell you why I quit SSVD. Come to think of it, even I don't know that. Why'd you do it? It's because I got fed up with all those damn sob story mysteries. We'll survive and reach a happy ending. I'll show her. Beatrice died in despair, thinking that were only bad endings. I'll show her that a happy ending can exist. That's why I'll never put you down. Well, you can take the rest of my left arm, cats. I'll give you my legs too if you want them. But I'm not letting go of Leon here. I'll take Leon away from the bad ending you represent, even if I have to crawl my way out of here. Are you okay with this, Leon? Will's planning to die protecting you. You don't want that, right? Go ahead and tell him to leave you be, and save himself. Well, yeah. Please, don't leave me here. I'll certainly survive. And so will you. That's the spirit. As he said this, Will had held Leon tight. There you have it. We'll keep struggling on, Burn Castle. We won't give up on the chance of a miracle. You're saying that? When the Witch of Miracles has promised with certainty that there will be no miracles. So long, you two. You'll collect dust in the depths of oblivion, unable even to die and disappear. Come, my kitties. I won't order you to kill them. Just clean up the 2 pieces whose role has ended. 100 million, a trillion, 10 quadrillion cats all bared their frames. In the starry sky as cat eyes, countless flesh-colored mouths opened, exposing countless teeth. The world was wrapped in flesh and blood and fangs. Addition of new elements has been added. You can find this new feature in the title screen. 7th mod. Alright. Pick up the, If you guys can come up with a better name than just, like, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, or, let me know. I'll use it. Back here. Back with Angie. Get the 2 white pieces were set on the chessboard. The countless black pieces surrounding them were now just packed together, not even placed on the squares. Burncastle tipped the 2 white pieces over and took them off the board. Is it really okay to end it like this? Yes. Yes, as usual. Your reading truly does fall comfortably on my ears, my Miko. As you wish. I've scraped out even the inner parts of the guts. Was that enough under the answer check for you? Indeed. I am quite satisfied. Using the answer you have revealed as a key, I will go back through all the tales so far, opening the closed rooms like treasure boxes, one by one. It's fun finding the key, and it's even more fun to stick it into all of the locks. You have done very well, my Miko. From now on, let me enjoy my thoughts alone. This has been enough. The Witch of Cedar Going sat back in her rocking chair, a satisfied smile on her face, as though enjoying a pleasant aftertaste. There was no need for a game board anymore. She just had to go back in her mind through the whole set of tales to check whether her theory was right or not. It seemed to leave her pleasantly drunk, even better than the most expensive wine. Are you done with me now? You have done well, my Miko. I absolve you of your duty. I will return to my slumber. I'd like to enjoy this pleasant dream for a few more centuries. And when I grow tired of that, you will find yet another tale to keep me entertained. For those centuries which will pass in the blink of an eye, I grant you your freedom. Splendidly done, Burncastle. Cute, cute Miko. It's not like I care. Go ahead, dry up and die. So long for the rest of time. We call a few mere centuries for the rest of time. Feathern's consciousness slowly faded away. As the owner of the study's slumber grew deeper, the lights about the room slowly darkened. Good night forever, Aurora. Aurora. You don't need this game board anymore. I'll take it. Bernkastel reached out towards Beato's game board, which lay on the table in front of Featherin's rocking chair, and tapped it twice. The game board and the pieces flew into the air, folded up, and put themselves away, then landed on Bernkastel's outstretched right hand. I still haven't had a chance to do any real game mastering. I just did Beato's funeral. That and tearing out the guts. I still haven't done anything. Bernkastel's smile twisted evilly. Then the game board floated up once again, and a world unfolded itself above Bernkastel's palm. Hey, pieces of Beato's game. I'm gonna have you spin an incredibly brutal tale that I'll find incredibly entertaining. Tremble in fear of the certain face you've been promised. By the name of Bernkastel, Witch of Miracles. And as the final game master of Beato's game, I proclaim it. No, just saying it would be boring. Maybe I should follow Beato's rules and say it in red. I'm sure. There might still be some witches with naive hopes. Ah, Panda. So you're here? Of course, you're always wherever I am. Go on and say it. You tell those naive dreamers. Yes, I will. As the Witch of Miracles, and as the final game master, I proclaim the start of the final game, and make you this promise. I will give this game a happy ending. Well, technically, it doesn't have to be given. It can be taken. A single girl was crying in a desolate, quiet chapel. She was a small girl, only 6 years old. The girl who would, for 12 years starting now, lament the fact that she wasn't on this island during October 4th and 5th, 1986. Then, a single man appeared. The man noticed the girl, walked up to her quietly, trying not to scare her, and put his arms gently around her shoulders. Oni-chan. I've been looking for you, Angie. The girl jumped into her big brother's chest and started crying again. What's wrong? Why are you so sad? Today, my kid in class bullied me. He said the people on TV were saying Mom had ties to bad people. So he said that Mom and Dad were the culprits, and that they probably killed everyone. I asked Aunt Eva, hoping she'd say it wasn't true, but she didn't say anything. Mom and Dad aren't bad people, right? Right? Poor kid. Everyone keeps saying whatever they liked about what might have happened on that island on that day. Sit over here. Okay. When the man pointed to the floor, a cloud of gold butterflies gathered there and created a chair. The girl obediently sat down on it. You know, don't you, Oni-chan? You know what Mom and Dad aren't bad people, right? Yeah, of course I know that. I know that none of them were bad people. Then tell me, what happened that day? What happened on Rockinjima? Okay, I'll tell you. This is what happened on that day. Is it a scary story? Of course not. Is it a sad story? Not at all. Then, what kind of story is it? You can decide that for yourself when you hear it. It definitely isn't a painful story. So listen up. Okay. Battler Oni-chan. On that day, we all went to Rockinjima. There were a lot of us. It was an important day, the day of the family conference. Where should I begin? This is the final game made just for Angie. Listen, Angie. This is what happened on Rockinjima on that day. It isn't sad or painful at all. Gráfico. But yeah, and that would be Umineko no Naku Koroshi Niro Naku of True Solutions, Episode 7, Chapter. What? Alright, so keep going. But I'll call it a day for now. It seems like a decent stopping spot. This is all over with and whatnot. Yeah, so because Battler does have the golden truth, not just the red truth, but the golden truth, which supersedes the red truth, which was only brought up then and never again, even though that's kind of important, I think. I don't know. So I'm not quite sure where this is going to go, because Bernkastel has the board, but Battler is Battler. He just does whatever the hell he wants, mostly, and comes up with the most crackpot theories, like an explosive edible bomb. Yeah, that's totally what it was. But that part is still odd. The logistics of how their stomachs exploded, other than setting it up post-mortem. It is odd. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll figure it out for next time, though. 7th expansion. Umineko no Naku Koro ni Chiru. Nocturne of Truths and Illusions. 7th expansion presents Welcome to Rockinjima. When They Cry 4. It's number 4, guys. Very odd counting system. Addition of new features. The Golden Witch has prepared a gift for you in commemoration of your stay. You can find these new features on the title screen. But before we leave, I'm gonna just at least choice it. Choices in episode 8. Alright. God damn it. God damn it. Oy. I might need a bigger canvas for that one. So, now let's just... The number of portraits we've got. We've got Beatrice. Beatrice. Elder Beatrice. Erica. Battler. I want to say there's one more, but Eva. That was it. And now we have Leon and Will. That's 6 portraits. I'm not even done with the first one, man. But there are choices in episode 8. I do remember you saying that there was like one choice at the end of it all. And this is very weird to have a choice for. Batman? What about Batman? None. Batman. Batman. And that's a portrait in a portrait. They've got the Beatrice portrait in the back of this portrait. That's gonna suck, man. That's gonna suck. Ugh. But, anyway. I have not drawn Batman yet. Do you want me to draw Batman? I can attempt to, but I'm currently working on one thing at a time, man. But anyway, that will be it for today. Finally got through episode 7, I guess. This is a long story. It keeps going. It keeps going. I'm not really complaining, just complaining. Anyway, bye guys. See you later. Maybe I'll quick doodle up a Batman sketch for you. Some like noodle arm Batman doing something weird. Anyway, have a good weekend, guys. Yes. Good weekend. Day off. Cool. Alright. I'm going to try and see if I can do more on the painting. Get it a bit more. But anyway, see you later. Have fun. And don't go killing your family over a pile of gold and becoming a mass murderer. That's not very recommended.